just for the sake of happening. When we talk of God's purpose, nothing just happens for the sake of happening. Everything happens to fulfill God's purpose that he has for our knowledge of. Nothing happens just for the sake of happening. Everything happens to fulfill God's purpose that he foreknew before time. I wish you can just understand that. Nĩ tondũ nĩoĩ maũndũ mothe, nĩ akoragwo na mũbango, na gũtirĩ ũndũ wĩkĩkaga nĩgetha ũhanĩke. Nothing just happens for the sake of happening. And I know and I am persuaded we are where we are. Nothing just happens in Kenya. Even for us to have the 4 presidential candidates, nothing just happens. Why the 4? I was trying to think of every one of them individually. Why those 4? Nothing just happens. It is only we don't try to understand the purpose. Why those 4? And I don't want to go into depth. Because the 4 of them, they are a face and a representation of something we are and we have in the society. Nothing just happens. If you take time and look at the 4 of them, and you scrutinize what you know about them, and what you have heard about them, they are a representation of something. Why 4? Yet they were 50-something. There is something we need to see. Nothing just happens. Even the things you don't like, they did not just happen. They were events that God foreknew they would happen. You may be crying, you may commit suicide, but yet God knew they would happen, and he knew he had a purpose in them. Praise God. Whoever you met, whatever they did to you, and whoever you shall ever meet, and whatever they will do to you, God knew you would meet them. God knew the pain or the good things that would follow. But he had a purpose why you meet those people. He has a purpose why he has given us the 4 in Kenya. And I am persuaded that if we take time, we remove politics of this and this and this, and we begin to understand who are these people, who are the 4, what is their representation, you understand there is a purpose. Praise God. And he foreknew. You see, he foreknew that Jesus would be killed. He foreknew and that Joseph would be sold. Rekei ndimwire, ithuĩ nĩ ithuĩ tũmakaga, no Ngai ndamakaga nĩ ũndũ wa ũndũ ũrĩa wothe ũkahanĩka. Tondũ wa mbere, ona thĩ ĩtanombwo, before the creation, before the foundations of the earth were laid, God foreknew. Na tena, whatever he will allow to happen, he had a purpose for it. Whoever he will allow in my life, and anything good or bad, he has a purpose for it. You may not understand, you may not know it, you may be complaining, you may be crying, but God has a purpose for it. And whosoever that will become the president of Kenya, it is not by accident. It is by divine plan. And he will be there to fulfill a purpose of God. You may not know how, but God knows who's by his foreknowledge. Even when he chose Judas, by his foreknowledge, he was to fulfill a certain purpose. When he chose Potiphar, when God chose the prison that Joseph would be taken, it was not just any other prison, because he not only has a purpose with the people who come into our lives, but in every place he places us. I knew that when I was employed in the government in the year 2007, and I heard it clearly. I knew I am there for a purpose that is a divine purpose. I knew there are things and there were lessons that God, there were experiences, because I started to see things from God's perspective, not my perspective. When we see things from the way God sees them, we will appreciate the good, the bad, and the ugly that happens in our lives, because they don't happen accidentally. Udu wothe mwega na muru na muthaka no tari muthaka uri ogekika ungiwona na maitho ma Ngai